Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. It's time to do my full review on the Huawei P10. If you saw, I did my unboxing video almost 2 months ago, so I've definitely had tons of hands-on time with this device. Have lots to say about the camera, performance, battery, as usual. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the full review. Let's start with design of the P10, and right away, it's a very premium feeling device. That all-metal unibody design, and also looks very slick as well. I did an unboxing video on the silver version, so I'll link to that down below if you want to see the contrast between the silver and the black. On the back of the device, you have dual cameras, a 20 megapixel and 12 megapixel. More on that in a second. Flipping it on over on the front, you have an 8 megapixel camera, earpiece, and sensors as well. And down at the bottom here is a fingerprint scanner, which is customizable. I'll talk about that in a second, but no capacitive buttons on the right or left side. Down at the bottom here, you have your USB Type-C slot for charging, headphone jack, microphone, and a speaker. And the speaker is average. It gets fairly loud, but it does lose some sound quality. It is just a mono speaker after all. So I'd say just about average, maybe above average in terms of volume. On the right side is your volume and power button. And I do want to zoom in and make sure you see that there is a texture difference, which I do really like. And also a bit of an accent, a little red accent on the black, so it's easy to differentiate between the volume and power button. On the left side, you have a SIM card slot along with a micro SD card slot for expandable storage. Up at the top is just that microphone. I also want to go ahead and test out that fingerprint scanner, and overall it has been very accurate and very quick as well. As you can see, absolutely no issues using it. If I want to go ahead and turn on the display, swipe up, use it again, it works just fine. It works pretty much every time. I do like the placement of it. It's big enough to actually grab my finger every time, so good job Huawei on the fingerprint scanner. The P10 has a 5.1 inch display, which gives it a bit of a smaller feel in your hand, so it is very easy to use with one hand. It is a very well designed device, and of course with it being a 5.1 inch display, not many devices go a little bit lower than even 5.3 inches right now. That 5.1 inch 1080p IPS LCD display is a good one. I've enjoyed using it outside. It gets bright enough. Viewing angles are good as well. Overall, just a solid display. The phone is protected with Gorilla Glass 5, but I do want to make note that it does lack a little bit of oleophobic coating, so when you are dragging things on the screen, it's a little bit more difficult in terms of your finger getting caught a little bit more. You have to put a little bit more effort and force into dragging your finger on the screen. However, it does come with a pre-installed screen protector, which does not have that issue. Jumping into settings and going into display, a couple options, one of them being eye comfort, so sort of a night mode that you can schedule as well, so kind of makes it easier for strain on your eye. There is also a color temperature, which you can customize a specific way to your liking. They also have a preset warm and cold setting or default setting as well. The P10 has a 3200 milliamp hour embedded battery, and with that 5.1 inch 1080p display, battery life is very good. Unfortunately, I lost my screen on time screenshots on my other device. I forgot to transfer them over, but I got anywhere from 4 hours and 15 minutes screen on time to 4 hours and 50 minutes. So I would say average has been about 4 hours and 35 minutes screen on time, and overall it has been really good, gets me through the day very easily, and charging is quick as well. The camera on the P10 is definitely one of the highlights. It has an f2.2 sensor along with optical image stabilization. So let's load up that camera. Loads up very quick. Shutter lag is very quick. Shutter speed, I should say, is very quick as well. And there is some very nice options in the camera app. So let's go over to settings. Pretty much standard in terms of options that you do have. I don't want to get too in-depth with those. You have a bunch of different modes: monochrome video, HDR. You have a night shot, time-lapse. As you can see, there are more available as well if you'd like. Anyways, one thing I really like is the ability to quickly swap between auto and pro mode. You just have to go ahead and swipe up. You see brings up all your ISO, everything like that you can customize to your liking, or just swipe right back down and you get to auto mode. There's also a wide aperture mode, which you can enable right there, which essentially when you have a close-up and you want the background to be blurred, you can kind of customize that amount of blur in the background, and it takes some pretty great shots. So if I go ahead and swipe through and go over to the close-up shot that I just took not too long ago right here, you'll see that background is definitely not a focal point, and it really does focus on what you have the close-up of. And overall, I've been extremely pleased with the camera on this device. Definitely a solid point and shoot camera, or if you want a bunch of options, it has that as well. Now, one thing I want to point out is a low light picture, a couple of them. So I took 2 of these, and to my eye, this was a lot darker than it is appearing. So sometimes when you do take low light shots, I think it overcompensates and tries to make it a little bit brighter than it should be. Overall, I wish this ended up being a little bit darker because it will lose a little bit of quality when it tries to make it brighter than it is. And this was just a lot darker. So overall, I guess overall, in the viewfinder, it looked really dark. You could barely see it. That post-image processing definitely made it a lot brighter, though. And of course, since one of the lenses is a monochrome lens, definitely takes some really great black and white photos as well, if you're into that. I really don't take too many black and white pictures. The P10 has a Kirin 960 processor, octa-core processor, coupled with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and overall I have found performance to be very good. Really nothing to complain about, whether I'm doing some heavier multitasking, higher end gaming, which I'm doing right here. So let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my recent apps. I want to go ahead and maybe select the clock app. Loads up just fine. Let's go back to recent apps, maybe snap a quick picture. So here's the camera, snap a picture, snap a picture. Let's go back to our recent apps, maybe go to the Play Store, scroll through, load up an app right here, and let's go back. And as you can see, everything's running very smoothly, everything's going quickly, and loads the game right back up, so no issues with RAM management whatsoever. Overall, if I do get a hiccup, it's very seldom, so I have been pleased with performance. It's not the top tier processor out there right now, but it still does the trick, coupled with that 1080p display as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about software. So jumping into settings, about phone, it does have Android 7.0 Nougat right out of the box, along with the EMUI 5.1 skin over the top. And in the past, I haven't been a big fan of EMUI. However, it is slowly but surely coming along, and I'm liking it more and more. They're fixing some of the things in the past that I wasn't a fan of. Now, first of all, I want to talk about the back, home, recent apps buttons, because I really haven't touched on that just yet. So if I jump into settings and go ahead and go to navigation key, you have a couple options. First of all, the obvious one, on-screen navigation buttons, which takes up a little bit of space on the display. You can customize it so the right is back, left is back, and also have a drop down as well. Now I have opted to try out the off-screen navigation button, so it utilizes that fingerprint scanner completely, and overall I find that occasionally I'll make a mistake, but most of the time I have gotten used to it. You press and hold, it goes all the way home. If you press it once, it's going to go back and back. If you swipe up, it's going to go ahead and activate that Google Assistant. And the one I find I mess up on the most is the quick swiping. Occasionally I will do it and it will act as a back button, but most of the time I get it and it goes into that recent apps. However, there is a downside to having this on-screen, or I should say on fingerprint navigation buttons. So when you go to your recent apps, you have to press and hold on an app, drag it up to enter that split screen mode. Whereas let's go ahead and go back to our settings app. And if I want to go ahead and go back to navigation key and switch it to virtual navigation, I can just press and hold on the recent apps button. That's not available if you use the navigation buttons on your fingerprint scanner. So as you can see, you just press and hold to get to your split screen mode. One gripe that I do have with the EMUI skin is the lock screen. Occasionally, when I go to swipe away notifications, it's a little bit more difficult than it is if I just pull down the status bar and swipe them away for whatever reason. That can get a little annoying at times. Sometimes I have to go ahead and swipe about 3 times to get it to actually swipe away. Also, something worth noting, you may like this, I just don't. It's just how they have it set. When you have a notification on your lock screen and you unlock your device and go back to your lock screen, that notification disappears. Even if you swipe down on the pull down bar, that notification is nowhere to be found until you unlock your device. Now, it's up to you if you like that or not. It isn't the stock Android default behavior, and I'm personally not a fan, but it's just kind of up to you if you like that or not. Now, speaking of that lock screen, you can also go ahead and go to a camera shortcut along with a swipe up to get to your flashlight, timer, calculator, screenshot, and a sound recorder as well. The P10 has some smart assistants as well, such as a floating dock, which I personally don't use. You have one-handed control, so you swipe up from the corner of your screen and you can go ahead and use your phone in a one-handed mode, which isn't necessarily necessary because you do have a smaller screen with that 5.1-inch display. More one-handed UI, they have the shifting keyboard. Also very notable is the motion control. So flip to mute, pick up, raise to ear, but you have knuckle gestures. So you see, use your knuckles to start a scrolling screenshot. If you'd like to, it's very easy. You can go ahead and use your knuckles to do a circle. It works pretty much every time as it should, which I am happy about. Now, another big one is that split screen gesture, which, like I mentioned earlier, if you decide to use the navigation buttons on the fingerprint scanner, you can just go ahead and swipe with your knuckle in half, and there it goes ahead and splits the screen in half and gives you a list of apps to choose from. To finish everything up, just want to give some quick final thoughts on the P10. And overall, I've been very happy with it. It's a very nice looking phone. It is well designed, very premium feeling in the hand as well. That camera's great. Battery life is good as well. I've been pleased with performance. That software, that skin, it's kind of up to you if you like it or not. There's some features I like. There's some features I don't like as well. I think they could improve upon it in a couple different ways. But anyways, overall, I've been very happy with the P10. So if you're considering it, I would definitely say it's a go for me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, click that thumbs up. Subscribe to me. Lots more coverage to come on many more devices. As always, thank you guys very much for watching.